Houston. Houston, we have a problem. DJ Apollo has landed. I repeat, DJ Apollo has landed at Hitmix 88.9 WEIU.
And thank you for clicking on today's episode. My name is DJ Apollo, or aka Christian Taylor, and you are listening to the Tales of Music and Film podcast. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm trying very hard not to get emotional, but it's just like, this is my final recording for here at Eastern Illinois University. This is where I've been going to college for the last 2 years now, and I'm getting ready to graduate. I'm going to be walking the big red carpet this coming Saturday at 10 a.m., and I'm still trying to come to terms with that, but I just want to take a minute and say that it's been one heck of an adventure. This is going to mark my 62nd recording, so in the span of 1 year here at Eastern Illinois University, my senior year, I have recorded 62 episodes. My original goal was just to hit 50, but I never thought in a million years I'd go past 60. So I just want to take a moment and say thank you to everyone. You know who you are. Thank you for the amazing support that you have given me this past year. I'm so happy that you all enjoyed what I had to talk about. And this show has been an absolute passion project for me, and I've enjoyed every minute of it. I want to give a shout out to my friend Mark Cotto, or aka Cotto Man, who invited me on for many episodes on his podcast, Cotto Cinema, last year. And he was the inspiration for me wanting to start my own show. So Mark, shout out to you, buddy. You're an amazing human being, and I'm so glad that I know you, and I feel extremely honored that I got to work with you so many times. And thank you for inspiring me to start my own show. And again, just thank you to everyone. You guys are all in my heart. I wouldn't be able to do this without you. And you guys are the best fan base and just the best support that a guy like me could ever have asked for. So thank you very, very much. So today we're going to be covering, I figured why not? Let's go full circle on this one. We're going to be covering an AC/DC album, particularly their newest album, Power Up. Now, I began my show back in August, actually, of last year, and the very first recording I did, I covered AC/DC's Back in Black album. I thought that was a very, very nice introduction to introduce myself. But now, we're going to be talking about AC/DC yet again, talking about their newest album, Power Up. Now, I'm very excited to cover this. This album, we got a lot of material to cover for this one, so we're going to be pushing it to an hour, I feel like, on this one, but let's see where it goes. So, AC/DC Power Up is the 17th studio album by Australian rock band AC/DC, released on November 13th, 2020 through Columbia Records and Sony Music Australia. AC/DC is the artist, of course, and the genre is hard rock, rock and roll, label Columbia, Sony Australia. The album's length is 41 minutes and 3 seconds. And the producer is Brendan O'Brien, who also produced AC/DC's previous 2 albums, which was Rock or Bust in 2014 and Black Ice in 2008. Power Up marks the return of vocalist Brian Johnson, drummer Phil Rudd, and bassist Cliff Williams, all of whom left AC/DC before, during, and after the supporting tour for their previous album, Rock or Bust, in 2014. And fun fact, I saw AC/DC live on this album tour, and I saw one of the last shows where Brian Johnson was fronting them. He had to cancel 2 shows after mine due to hearing issues. This is also the band's first album since the death of co-founder and rhythm guitarist Malcolm Young passed away in 2017, and it serves as a tribute to him, according to his brother Angus. Music critics generally received the album well and reached number 1 in 21 countries. It sold 1.4 million copies worldwide. At the 2021 ARIA Music Awards, the album was nominated for the following: Best Rock Album, and the band was nominated for Best Group. At the 2021 iHeartRadio Music Awards, The album won Rock Album of the Year. The single Shot in the Dark was nominated for Rock Song of the Year, but lost to Foo Fighters' Shame Shame. For the 64th Grammy Awards, the album was nominated for Best Rock Album, and Shot in the Dark was nominated for Best Rock Performance and Best Music Video. So, as you can see, this album had a lot of things going for it, and it was released at the right time. Now, I was following the news on this album's recording dating all the way back to 2018. I followed AC/DC and what they were doing very closely because I was really wanting them to get back together and make some new material. So, dude, there was a solid 2 years there where I checked the internet every single day looking for any signs of brand new news about anything they were doing. And this album did not disappoint. It was well worth the wait. And I'll get more into that later. But this album was a huge miracle, and I'm going to discuss why. Following the 2014 album Rock or Bust, the group embarked on a 17-month world tour, which I saw them on. Prior to the tour, drummer Phil Rudd was charged with attempting to procure murder, threatening to kill, and possession of many drugs, including methamphetamine. For the tour, Rudd was replaced by drummer Chris Slade, who had previously played with AC/DC on their 1990 album Razor's Edge, and he toured with them on that album several years after Rudd first left the band. So originally, Rudd left the band in '83 after the album Flick of the Switch was recorded, and he was replaced with a drummer named Simon Wright. And Simon played with AC/DC all throughout the rest of the 80s, but then he left after Blow Out Your Video tour was over, and then that's when Chris Slade showed up, and he drummed with them for the Razor's Edge recording and tour, and he also drummed for them when they did a song called Big Gun for the Arnold Schwarzenegger film called Last Action Hero, and that was the last thing he did with them. Phil Rudd officially rejoined AC/DC in 1994, and he was with them from then all the way to 2014 when he got busted. And by 2016, lead singer Brian Johnson had started to suffer hearing loss, causing the final 10 dates on the Rock or Bust tour to be rescheduled. Ultimately, he was replaced by Guns N' Roses vocalist Axl Rose for the remaining tour dates. On July 8th, 2016, bassist Cliff Williams announced that he would be retiring from the band once the tour was finished, citing health issues as reasons for retiring and calling AC/DC a changed animal. So that's like one of the first things that I want to get into. So by the time the Rock or Bust tour was over, Angus Young was the last original member standing. AC/DC's classic lineup was you had Bon Scott, who was the original vocalist. You had Angus on lead guitarist. You had Malcolm Young as rhythm guitarist. And Angus and Malcolm are the co-founders of AC/DC. They formed in Australia in 1973. And you had Cliff Williams as the bassist. And then you had Phil Rudd on drums. That was the classic original lineup. And Bon passed away from alcohol poisoning and hypothermia in February of 1980, and then Brian Johnson was hired as the new lead singer just a month after Bon had passed away, and he was the new singer. So then he became the new frontman. Then the lineup stayed consistent until '83 when Phil Rudd had to leave, Simon Wright came in, then Chris Slade showed up, but then Phil came back. Then it was back to the classic lineup until 2014 when Phil got busted, and then Brian Johnson had his hearing problems, so he left, and Malcolm was diagnosed with dementia, and around 2013 or 2014, I believe it was, and apparently during the Black Ice tour in 2009, he actually started showing signs that something wasn't right. he was experiencing early signs of dementia, and I actually read that during the Black Ice tour, the band had to do a lot more rehearsing to help him out because his memory was starting to go bad a little bit, and from that point forward, it just continued to get worse. He had to officially leave the band in 2014, so he was not there to record or tour on the Rock or Bust album. And they brought in their nephew Stevie Young to replace Malcolm on rhythm guitarist, and Stevie actually filled in for Malcolm during the 1988 album Blow Out Your Video World Tour was happening. About halfway through, Malcolm had gotten really addicted to alcohol. He was drinking nonstop. Halfway through the tour, he decided to leave the band and go get himself cleaned up and get his health back in order. So for the rest of the tour, Stevie Young filled in for him. So I think him filling in was an obvious choice. And then, Phil got busted, and Chris Slade filled in for him for the Rock or Bust tour. So for a majority of the Rock or Bust tour, you had Brian Johnson on vocals, you had Angus on lead guitar, you had Cliff Williams on the bass, Chris Slade on drums, and Stevie Young as rhythm guitarist. And that was the lineup that I saw them when in St. Louis on February 20th, 2016. It was my very first concert. It was one of the best shows I've ever seen in my life. It'll always be number one. And that was the show that changed my life forever, and it introduced me to pure rock and roll. And that show showed me how it should be done. But looking back at the show, I noticed that Brian Johnson, after one or two songs, he kept running backstage, and younger me was wondering why. Now I know he was going back there to get his hearing aid readjusted, because he said because I recently just read Brian Johnson's new book called The Lives of Brian, and in the book he talks about how during the last couple of shows he did before he left, he had to go off muscle memory. He couldn't hear a thing. And dude, I can't even begin to imagine how tough that must have been, having to go off, pure muscle memory. But dude, I'll tell you, at my show, you never would have thought he had any hearing issues whatsoever. He knocked it out of the ballpark, and he was 68 years old at the time, and he kicked ass, man. Pardon my language, man, but he kicked ass that whole 2 hours. All the band members did. They did fantastic. But it's like, once Brian had to leave, it didn't really feel like AC/DC anymore. Then once Cliff left at the end of the Rock or Bust tour, it didn't even look like AC/DC anymore. I even saw a comment somewhere that a guy was like, AC/DC looks more like a tribute band now with Angus guest starring or something. It just didn't feel like AC/DC anymore. Now, I want to clarify something. I think that Axl Rose did an amazing job. He filled in for Brian on the last 10 tour dates of the tour, and he knocked it out of the ballpark. I think he sings better with them than he does with Guns N' Roses. Now, I had the amazing honor of seeing Guns N' Roses live back in the summer of 2021, and that was an amazing show. I don't think about it too much. I need to think about it more, because that show was badass. Axl, he's 60 years old almost, and he's still got it, man. He's got some powerful vocals, and I've watched videos of him singing with AC/DC during that tour. He did a great job. I think his voice is kind of like a mix of Brian and Bonds put together, but he was a good fit. I think he did an amazing job, and I gotta give him credit for volunteering to fill in for Brian. I think he did a great job. And I noticed that he got a lot of hate, but it's just like, people, this band needed to finish these last 10 dates. They're under contract. All these people paid who knows how much money for tickets. You can't just cancel the shows. They were under pressure, and Axl stepped in and lent it out a hand, So I got to give him credit for that. That was a big move on his part, And then once the tour was finished up, Cliff retired, and I legit thought for a good couple of years there that AC/DC was dead, Angus was the last original member standing, and it's just kind of like, where do you go from this point? That was the lowest point I think the band had ever reached. And it's just like, Everybody thought they were done. Like every day, I kept expecting Angus to like make an announcement that AC/DC is retiring or something. Every day, I was just waiting for the news, but it never happened. And then in 2018, things really started to change. In 2018, rumors began circulating that AC/DC were working on their 17th studio album, with Brian Johnson, Phil Rudd, and Cliff Williams having returned to the group. Brian Johnson, Phil Rudd, Angus Young, and Stevie Young were photographed in August of 2018 at a warehouse studio, a recording studio in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, owned by fellow musician Bryan Adams, suggesting the band was working or they had recorded their previous 3 albums. The rumors were later confirmed as the truth, but the album had been recorded there over a 6-week period in August and September of 2018 with producer Brandon O'Brien, who, like I said before, who oversaw the work of 2008's Black Ice and 2014's Rock Robust, with some tweaking and having followed in early 2019. Every track is credited to Angus and Malcolm Young, as Angus had raided the AC/DC vault of unreleased songs to record the album. After a series of cryptic teases reading Power Up on the band's website, the album's title was revealed to be Power Up on October 7th of 2020. Now, I cannot express to you how excited I was so in 2018, Brian Johnson and Phil were pictured outside the studio, and then another picture surfaced of Angus and Stevie Young out on a balcony having a smoke break. I'm not exaggerating when I say this. When I watched the YouTube video of when those pictures surfaced, I literally got up and started yelling. I was running back and forth inside my house. Like I was screaming full volume. I was so happy. At that particular moment, I'm convinced I was like one of the happiest men on planet Earth. I was so filled up with joy. And it was later confirmed that Cliff Williams was there too, but he quit smoking. So he was indoors, so they didn't get a picture of him, but he was there too. So all the original lineup was back. You had Brian, Angus, Cliff, Phil, and Stevie all back together again. And I just could not believe it. I'm just like, I wanted someone to pinch me. I'm like, am I dreaming? Is this really happening? I was just a loss for words. So, also, after a series of teasers in the days prior, the music audio for the band's first single, Shot in the Dark, was released the same day. And I'm telling you right now, man, I waited. Like, the song was released at midnight. I literally sat in my parents' bedroom with my mom, and I sat there staring at that screen, watching that clock count down to 0, because I was like, I'm witnessing history right now. I am not missing this. So I that night I listened to that song for the very first time, and I probably had the biggest grin on my face for a solid 3 minutes listening to a brand new song. A music video for this song was released on October 26th of 2020. The song topped the Billboard Mainstream Rock Songs chart for 2 weeks, starting in November of 2020. A 53-second short clip of a second song, Demon Fire, debuted ahead of the album's release on October 30th of 2020 as well, and it was released once again on December 8th of the same year, the day before the complete song's world premiere released. The music audio for the album's second single, Realize, was released on November 11th of 2020, and man, that song was incredible as well. Very beautiful track. And while we're on the topic of talking about music videos, I want to give a quick shout out, man. Dude, the music videos for this album are absolutely insane. They're some of the best music videos I've ever seen, and I'll go into more detail about them here in a minute. So the album was released on November 13th of 2020 during literally the height of COVID. In its first week of release, it was projected to place either first or second on the Billboard 200 all format albums chart to top the US and UK album sales chart. On December 7th of 2020, it was announced that the music video for Demon Fire would have its world premiere release on December 9th of 2020 as the third single from the album. The music video for the song Realize was released on YouTube on January 13th of 2021. Music video for the song Witch's Spell was released on YouTube on June 9th of 2021. A music video for the song Through the Mists of Time was released on YouTube on September 30th of 2021. Now, I remember, man, the first times that I saw those music videos, when all these songs were released, I was going to school at Lakeland Community College, and the only song that was released that I watched here at Easter, and it was during my first semester here during the fall of 21 in September when Through the Mists of Time was released. I literally remember when that music video dropped. I was walking back and forth in my rooms in the hallway, just walking back and forth listening to that song. And man, that music video hits you right in the feels. Because that whole music video, Through the Mists of Time, that whole song is literally talking about, you know, AC/DC's journey from when they formed in 73 to where they are now. And the whole thing was a big tribute, you know, to Malcolm. This whole album was a tribute to Malcolm, just like Back in Black was a complete tribute to their original singer, Bon Scott. And Through the Mists of Time, that music video, that whole thing is just, you're just watching AC/DC recount their whole history and everything that they accomplished in the 50 years that they've been together, you know? It was such a beautiful music video, and it hits you right in the feels. It rips your heart out of you, you know? And the next one I want to talk about here is the Witch's Spell music video. I think that one might be one of my favorites. I love the whole idea. So Witch's Spell, it literally has the band AC/DC performing inside a crystal ball with a witch watching them. And it's such a beautiful video. It's actually my baby sister. Her name's Channing. She's 8 years old right now, and that's her favorite AC/DC music video. Like, she loves it when I play that one. She loves that video. And I think she really likes the Witch's Spell song. And the music video for Realize is another good one. It was filmed in black and white, which I thought was a nice little aesthetic they did with this one. And a cool little fact, you know, that video was filmed during the height of COVID. So what they did was, they didn't have all the members be in the same room. They filmed each member individually. Then they edited the video together and they put them all together in the room to make it look like they were all in there together. And it's edited so well, you literally would have thought they were all in the room together. Like, dude, the amount of time it must have took to do that, but man, the work paid off. Like, I had no idea, but they were not all in the same room together for it. But you watch that video, you never would have guessed, like, ever. And that right there was just beautiful, beautiful editing and very good work. At Metacritic, which assigns a normalized rating out of 100 to reviews from professional publications, the release of Power Up received an average score of 79 based on 19 reviews, indicating generally favorable reviews. Aggregator Any Decent Music gave the album a 7.2 out of 10 based on their assessment of critical conscience. AllMusic Review by Stephen Thomas Erwin stated, "Good times have always been a crucial part of the band, but there's a depth of feeling to the levity on Power Up, as if the band decided that the best way to pay respect to what they've lost is by focusing on what they still have. They don't dwell upon the past, they barrel forward with a set of turbocharged blues and high-octane rock that doesn't merely sound good, it feels nourishing." Danielle Sylvester on Acclaim noted, "The fact that AC/DC came together to create something as satisfying as Power Up when the cards were down is a complete miracle upon itself, and AC/DC seemed more than ready to celebrate." Kitty Empire, The Guardian, gave 3 stars out of 5, stating, "A deja vu is a familiar sensation with AC/DC. Few outfits have managed to eke so much verity out of so few consistent parts as these stalwarts of reductio ad absurdum for the undiminished seniorities AC/DC provide in the face of adversity, it's hard not to salute them. Rick Ruskell of Kerrang observed, AC/DC have made an album that even for them is a high voltage celebration of life. The best of times and the absolutely indomitable boundless power of a couple of chords and a 4/4 beat in a time where getting together with your mates and partying and getting the beers in and shagging and living is all but illegal. As a reminder of just how powerful and timeless the very idea of these wonderful things are, AC/DC had never felt more necessary or vital. So that I just thought I would share as what some reviewers had to say about the album itself. Now, let's continue with some of the impact that this album had. So, in Australia, Power Out debuted at number 1 on the ARIA charts, and in the process, AC/DC became the first act to have an Australian number 1 album in 5 consecutive decades, the 1980s to the 2020s. The album registered 21,535 sales in its first week, outselling the rest of the top 15 combined. As of December 12th, it has spent 4 weeks at number 1, becoming the equal longest number 1 album in Australia in 2020. In the United States, Power Out debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200 chart with 117,000 album equivalent units. In its opening week, it became the band's third album to reach number 1 on the chart, following For Those About to Rock, We Salute You, and Black Ice. Additionally, the album's tracks accumulated a total of 7.8 million on-demand streams in the week ending 28th November. The album debuted at number 1 in the UK charts on November 13, 2020, with 62,000 chart sales, displacing Kylie Minogue's Disco as the biggest opening week release of 2020 so far. And in Germany, it debuted at number 1, selling almost 160,000 copies, the best start of the year. It stayed at number 1 for a total of 5 non-consecutive weeks and becoming the best-selling album of 2020. Worldwide, it was the 6th best-selling album of 2020 with 1.37 million copies sold. Now, I actually did not know that, and I'm telling you, man, that information could not make me any happier. What's funny is, I remember back in 2020 when the album was first released, I was listening to the music of Shot in the Dark on YouTube, and I saw a comment down there in the comments section. Someone said, I feel like this album is going to do it in 2020 what Back in Black did in 1980. Now, unfortunately, it did not do that, but this album was still a huge success, and this album is going to be forever a miracle to me. The fact that this album exists is a complete miracle. And, dude, the impact this album had was insane. The hype for this was everywhere. The minute every song was coming out, like, heck, I saw a guy who learned the riff to Power Up. Like, the very first tease we ever got was for Shot in the Dark, and it was just a 30-second preview. And literally, like a day or two later, a guitarist made a video on YouTube playing that song on guitar. Like, that guy managed to figure out the song just by listening to that 30-second clip. Like, the hype for this album, man, was all over the internet. Everybody was talking about it. And the minute this album was released, millions of reaction videos were uploaded of people listening to all the new material for the first time, and it was absolutely insane. Getting to witness AC/DC release a brand new album was a beautiful experience for me. Like, I got to witness my favorite band of all time release a new album. Like, that is absolutely insane. I got to see them live, and I got to see a new album get released. Like, does it get any cooler than that? I feel so lucky that I was born in the time that I was. It's just, man, Power Up was one of the coolest album experiences in my life, and it'll always have a very special place in my heart. I have listened to this record from beginning to end, I don't know how many times. I own it on CD and vinyl. This album, dude, it's lightning in a bottle. The power on this album is unlike anything I've ever seen. I think this is their best album that they have released in the 21st century. And they have so far, they have released 4 albums in the 21st century. You had Stiff Upper Lip in 2000, Black Ice in 2008, and then you had Rock or Bust in 2014, and now Power Up in 2020. And I just want to start by saying I think this album has the best vocal performance from Brian Johnson since Razor's Edge. Now, at the time that this album was recorded, I think he was around 70, 71, 72 years old. And like, dude, you listen to him on this album, he sounds exactly the same. Like, this guy's voice has not aged at all. His voice ages, though, like fine wine. It's like it sounds better the older he gets, man. His vocal performance on this was insane. Like, I was watching this girl react to Realize for the first time. She says she was getting goosebumps from Brian's voice just because of how good it sounded for a man in his early 70s, you know? Like, and then, you know, and Angus in the music videos, he just shows you that age has not slowed him down a bit. You watch him in the Shot in the Dark music video, he does the duck walk like he always does. None of the members have lost a beat. These guys had the same energy they had 40, 50 years ago. And just to see them all back together again, playing alongside one another, it makes you want to start tearing up. Like, when you get these 5 guys together, it's just nothing but pure magic. It's unreal. And Stevie does an amazing job filling in for Malcolm. I can just imagine wherever Malcolm is, he's just looking down over Stevie with a huge smile on his face. You know, like, Stevie is doing an amazing job, you know, and Phil, seeing him back on the drum kit yet again, I know, granted, after everything that he's done, I'm glad that he somewhat got his act cleaned up. He's improved his life a little bit. To see him back on the drums for AC/DC, it's amazing. I don't care what anyone says. He is the best drummer. I even made a post on an AC/DC fan page about 3 or 4 years ago. I posted on there and I go, all right, everybody, here are the 3 drummers. I posted pictures of all 3 of them. Which drummer is the best? And I'm not kidding you. I got like 100 comments on that post. It was all Phil Rudd. I had 1 or 2 Chris Slades and like 1 Simon Wright comment, but everybody else, it was Phil Rudd all the way. And I'm like, I wasn't even surprised. Phil Rudd is the perfect drummer for AC/DC. He is an amazing drummer, and I'm so happy he's back. I have my fingers crossed that AC/DC does one last tour and then retires. I would love, absolutely love, to see them live just one more time and to see them with Phil on the drum kit. If I could just get that, at the very least, that would be an absolute dream come true. So fingers crossed. I don't know if they're going to tour or not. But what's pretty cool is that AC/DC is actually going to be performing live for the very first time since the Rock or Bust tour this very year. It was announced about a couple months ago. They're going to be playing at this new event. It's called Power Trip, and it's going to be happening later this year. And, dude, this event, there's a lot of big acts playing at this one. And this is going to mark AC/DC's first live performance since the end of the Rock or Bust tour back in 2016. And there's going to be lots of other acts playing there. There's going to be... So it's a festival, and we're going to be seeing other performances such as Metallica, Guns N' Roses, Iron Maiden, and Ozzy Osbourne. Man, you want to talk about starting off with a bang. It's like, my gosh, man, you got like pretty much some of the biggest acts to have ever walked the earth. You know, talking about an opening. Holy cow, man. You got some pretty big acts right there. They're coming out swinging, to say the least. But I'm pretty sure that whenever this show happens, they'll probably have like a live link on YouTube. And the minute they release that link, I'm there, man. I'm watching that whole thing. I'm so excited to see. I'm very curious. Now, I have my fingers crossed that a lot of the new that they cover, a lot of their new material at this live performance. I really want to see what some of these Power Up album songs will sound like live. I'm really excited to see how well they're going to sound. So I can't wait to see the show, and just the fact we're going to get to see them live again is absolutely amazing. Now, whether they're going to do a tour or not, I don't know. But if they do, I'm buying tickets the minute they're released because they're going to sell quick. So that about wraps it up for talking about Power Up. But the one last thing I want to go into is that I want to go into the songs here for a little bit. And this will be the last talking subject. So the album has 12 songs. And here's the list. We have Realize as the opening. Then we have Rejection, Shot in the Dark, Through the Mists of Time, Kick You When You're Down, Witch's Spell, Demon Fire, Wild Reputation, No Man's Land, Systems Down, Money Shot, and Code Red. Now, I mentioned earlier that Angus and Malcolm wrote all these songs back in like the early 2000s. These guys co-wrote pretty much like almost every song. And they wanted to make a new album, so Angus went back through the archive and dug up all these songs that had yet to be used, and then that's how we got the Power Up album. These are all songs him and Malcolm wrote together, and dude, all these songs kick some serious ass. My absolute favorites off the 12 songs that we got is Realize, Shot in the Dark, Through the Mists of Time, Witch's Spell, Demon Fire, and Money Shot. Dude, these songs, holy cow. You want to talk about an adrenaline rush or a power rush, just listen to those songs. Like, they are incredible. The energy, key word folks, energy on these songs is uncanny. Like, holy cow, man. They are... Like, whenever I listen to these, I can't sit down. I'm like pacing back and forth. Like, you can't sit still when you're listening to this material. It's physically impossible. There should be like a try to sit down challenge where like you have headphones on listening to these songs and just do a timer on how long you can stay in your chair. I wouldn't last more than like 10 seconds. So now we're going to do the classic thing that I like to do when covering an album. We're going to be covering some of the lyrics. So I got 5 songs I have picked out that I'm going to do a little deep in analysis on some of the lyrics. And the first song that we're going to do is the opening, which is Realize. So let's get into the lyrics. So it starts off like this. The moment you realize those moments just pass you by, gonna take you to paradise. Now, I feel like this opening verse is kind of like, it's kind of like a statement where life passes you by in the blink of an eye, like your life is a paradise. That's what I seem to get. And then you continue with move it, make you prove it, break out, break it down, feel the chill moving down your spine. When we recall and realize, make you realize. So I'm wondering if the song is like going into how fast life goes. And that some people don't realize that life goes by in the snap of a finger. And when you realize like just how short a human life is, you get chills. I got the power to hypnotize, make a play, memorize, feel the chills up and down your spine. I'm gonna make you fly. So I'm wondering if like this is like a guy trying to explain to you some things or maybe like pass along some knowledge. And then the song continues with, and your eyes playing tricks on you, and your mind will seek the truth. You know you're going to make it through. So I'm wondering, it's kind of like, okay, now you realize how fast life is. You're going to start making better decisions for yourself, and you're going to improve your life and start taking more chances, and don't let it beat you to the curb. So then I said, move it, make it, prove it, shake it down, shake it out, feel the chill moving down your spine. That's like the chorus section where we get a certain lyric section that gets repeated a couple of times throughout the song. I got the power to electrify, make or break or satisfy, and feel the chill up and down your spine. I'm going to make you fly. And then that's repeated one more time, and then that's the end of the song. So for me, it feels like the song's kind of talking about how, like, life goes by very quickly. If you don't stop and look around once in a while, you might miss it. Well, Ferris Bueller reference for you there. But I feel like that's what the song is talking about, maybe. So that's going to be the deep dive for Realize. Now we're going to move on to song number 2 that I want to talk about, called Shot in the Dark. I need a pick-me-up, a rolling thunder truck. I need a shot of you, a tattooed lady wild like a mountain ride. I got a hunger, that's the love and truth. So I'm wondering if that's talking about how, like, this guy, there's a guy who's like at a low point right now, and he needs like a shot, like something to pick him up, to get him moving again. Like he needs some like a good time or something to get his happiness rolling again. And then you got a long night coming and a long night pumping. You got the right position, the heat of transmission. So I'm wondering if like he's possibly like going for a ride to like clear the head and to figure out how to improve his life. A shot in the dark make you feel all right. A shot in the dark all through the whole night. A shot in the dark, yeah, electric sparks. A shot in the dark beats a walk in the park, yeah. So I'm wondering if that's talking about how like this guy realizes, okay, if I want to improve my life and make better decisions, I gotta take a shot in the dark. I can't be playing it, I can't be playing the safe route. Gotta take some more risks or, make some big changes in my life. So blasted on the radio, breaking on the TV show, send it out on all the wires. And if I don't know any better, your mission is to party till the broad daylight. So I think it's like, okay, I'm going to go party, have some fun. Maybe that'll help me lift up my spirits and put me in a better state of mind. And then we got the chorus section again with repeating lyrics. And then the song just continues with the same chorus again. A shot in the dark, make it feel all right. A shot in the dark all through the whole night. Shot in the dark, yeah, electric sparks. A shot in the dark beats a walk in the park, yeah. So it's just that repeated one more time, and then that's the end of Shot in the Dark. So I think overall that song is talking about how like sometimes in life you have to literally take a shot in the dark on decisions that you make. You don't know if it's going to be good or bad, but you got to decide something. You can't just sit here and just hoping things will get better. You got to make it happen. So that is the end talking about Shot in the Dark. Now we're going to move on to song number 3, Through the Mist of Time, which is a song I've been very excited to go into on the lyrics. I think this one's going to be a very heartfelt one, so let's take a look. So the song opens up with, see dark shadows on the walls, see the pictures, some hang and some fall. So right off the bat, I feel like this whole thing is just, I feel like we're like entering inside the mind of a human being, like recounting all the good times they've had throughout their lives. And the painted faces all in a line, and the painted ladies, yeah, the painted ladies, through the mists of time, all their restless cries, through the mists of time, from a mansion high, through the mists of time. So I feel like this person is like nearing the end of he or she's life, and they're like remembering their whole life and everything they've done, all the amazing times they've had. And hear the whisper of the whirlwind, monster shadows, a light gone dim. So it's like I feel like it's a person who's either nearing the end themselves, or this person has lost someone dear to them. So they're remembering all the good times they had with this person. Dark horses are in my sleep, mystic voices conjure up our dreams, and the painted ladies, yeah, the painted ladies. So I feel like, yeah, this whole song is basically all about remembering someone, Malcolm, of course. And it's just about a reflection of life, how, death comes knocking for all of us at some point. So I think it's very important that we all live a very good, happy life. Like make every minute of every hour of every day count. Because tomorrow isn't promised, for anyone. I think the song is really going into, how the mists of time, it works different for everyone. And then it just repeats that chorus one more time. Through the mists of time, all the restless cries. Through the mists of time, from a mansion high, searching for a sign. Through the mists of time. So literally that whole song is just about life itself. and it's reflecting about either your own life or the life of someone else, like as someone you knew who's no longer here, a light gone dim. So that covers the lyrics for Through the Mist of Time. It is when you listen to this track, man, if you're a hardcore AC/DC fan like me, it should be featured in a Try Not to Cry challenge, because you listen to that song, it makes you sad, because we miss Malcolm, like he was such an awesome dude. I wish I'd known him. It would have been so cool to get to see him perform his guitar live. But he lived a magnificent life, and I want to thank him for all the amazing music that he's left behind for all of us. He's helped me create some amazing memories with his music. So Malcolm, wherever you are, man, I hope you're happy, man, and just rest in peace, man. So now we're going to go into song number 4, and I want to dedicate this song to my sister. This is her favorite song off the Power Up album, Witch's Spell. I love this track, so let's take a look at the lyrics. Let me tell you your fortune. It could be sinister or maybe not, like a leopard who can't change its own spots. Ride a moonbeam, sail the starlight, my blaze in the night sky, see the witch's flight, caught in a witch's spell, got a tale to tell, caught in a witch's spell, got a tale to tell, caught in a witch's spell. So that's the chorus kind of section for you. So I feel like this song's kind of like, talking about a witch, I would say, and I guess what they can do for people and help them out with stuff. This one's a little confusing, not gonna lie, but let's continue. Good time maker who likes it hot, like a card playing shark who takes the whole lot. So I kind of feel like the song is kind of like going into about, I guess, the life of a witch, maybe. Like I'm out on this one because it's tricky, but I feel like it's kind of like going into that possibly, but who knows? And it's all coming to ya. It's all coming through ya. I get bathed in a light. The spell is just right. And then we get past the chorus, and then it goes into one last bit of lyrics for you. Crystal balls and an almanac. She's gonna take you to hell and back. I've got potions, snake oil style, good luck charms, and a witch's spell. So I feel like it's kind of like going into how like a witch's lifestyle and what the kind of stuff they do for humans on a daily basis and what they have to offer with their spells and good luck charms, and all that stuff. But that wraps it up talking about witch's spell. But it's kind of like if they ever do a Hocus Pocus 3, I vote that this song plays during the ending credits. Like, come on, how could you not? This is like the perfect song. Like, that is a very missed opportunity. So Hocus Pocus 3, I recommend you play a song for the ending credits. It'd be the most perfect way to end the film. Like, bro, just a little side rant for a minute. I'm still so shocked that AC/DC's If You Want Blood, You Got It has not been featured in a vampire film. How the heck has that song not been used in a vampire film? That's like the perfect song. How the heck has that not happened yet? That better happen someday. That is like the biggest missed opportunity. Anyway, so now we're going to move on to the 5th and final song that I want to talk about. And this is Money Shot. Oh, man. This might be my favorite song on the entire album. Oh, man. This song alone has one of Brian's best vocal performances I've ever heard him give. Holy cow, man. The way he sings on this song is it's unhuman. So let's get into the lyrics for Money Shot. So we got feel in the rock and roll mood, gonna make it feel good. So right out the bat, opening up with the simple fact, rock and roll, you just can't go wrong with it, man. It's a religion all on its own, and it'll never let you down or disappoint you. Rock and roll is a kind of religion that'll always make you happy every time. It'll never let you down, man. Might be a little dangerous. I believe you will see it. It could be contagious. Like, dude, rock and roll. You want to talk about it being contagious? Damn right it is. Abso-freaking-lutely. Doctor, what's the antidote? Lady, try the money shot. Doctor, what's the antidote? Lady, just try money shot. Best taken when hot. So I guess it's kind of like saying how like there isn't exactly like I'm imagining that money shot is kind of like a metaphor for like the simple fact like rock and roll is pure contagious and there is no cure for it. Once you get it, man, there ain't no going back. Take it from me. And then the song continues with, I got a good prescription for the state of your condition. You gotta take it 3 times a day or as much as you need. That's my diagnosis. So I feel like the doctor's telling this lady who is contagious with rock and roll, it's like, it's not a bad thing, and I recommend listening to it at least 3 times a day, or as many times as you want. Rock and roll, it'll never let you down. You can listen to it whenever you want to, and it'll make you nothing but happy. And then it gets back into the chorus again of Doctor, what's the antidote? Lady, try the money shot. Doctor, what's the antidote? Lady, try the money shot. And then we get to the ending we get to the ending lyrics. The chorus are repeated a few more times. It goes like this. We got a good cure for what ails you. It won't fail you. Try the money shot. Doctor, show me the antidote. I'll try the money shot. I'll try the money shot. And that is the end for Money Shot. So I feel like overall that song is kind of going into how amazing rock and roll is and what it does for the human soul. I feel like that's what that song is talking about, how like it can make anyone feel really good and happy again. But that's it. That is me. That ends me talking about Power Up. And this album, I need to listen to it again. It's been way too long, and I'll definitely have to give it a re-listen whenever I get back home from school. But, ladies and gentlemen, we are at the end of this recording. This is my last recording that I'm doing here at Eastern Illinois University, and I just can't believe it, man. I just cannot believe it. But I just want to say thank you for listening to this recording, and I'm glad I got to take you on an amazing adventure along with me. And to whoever is listening to this recording, I wish you nothing but the greatest of luck with your life and your future, and I know you're going to do great things with your life. So thank you for listening to this recording, and thank you for always being a friend. My name is DJ Apollo, and you are listening to the Tales of Music and Film.